All right, today we're tackling a really big idea. What if karma, that ancient concept, isn't just a spiritual belief? What if it's actually woven into the very fabric of our universe, reflecting its fundamental laws? We're going to explore how concepts from good old Newtonian physics all the way to mind-bending quantum entanglement might offer a brand new lens for this ancient idea of cause and effect. So let's just dive right in. The question you see here, it really gets to the heart of it all, doesn't it? It sits at this amazing crossroads where science and ancient wisdom meet. We're going to peel back the layers on this, starting with what we think we know about karma. And then we're going to journey into the really strange, deeply connected world of modern physics. Okay, first things first. Before we can even start talking about physics, we've got to get our definitions straight. And that means we need to clear up a super common misunderstanding about what karma actually is. Right, so the most important thing to get is that karma isn't about some cosmic judge in the sky deciding what happens to you. The original Sanskrit word literally just means action. That's it. It's a natural law, a universal principle of cause and effect, where your very own intentions and your deeds are the direct cause of what comes back to you. And this table just lays it out so clearly. Karma is all about your own agency, your responsibility. It suggests you're the architect of your own life through your actions. Fate, on the other hand, well, that suggests your story's already written and you're just along for the ride. So karma is what gives you free will. It puts you in the driver's seat. So with that foundation, let's make our first stop. We're going to ground the spiritual idea in some very familiar classical science. Yep, for a minute here, we're going all the way back to high school physics class. We all know this one, right? Newton's third law. It's why a rocket launches into space, or why a gun has recoil. But what happens if we apply this law not just to billiard balls and rockets, but to our own intentional actions, our thoughts, our words, our deeds? This gives us the first, and maybe the most direct, parallel between physics and karma. Now, this is where it gets really, really cool. Some thinkers propose that the universe acts like a kind of karma mirror, and this table maps it out. The idea is that the force of a karmic consequence is directly related to the mass of our ego, our self-importance, and the velocity of our intent. In other words, a deed done with a huge ego and a ton of intense, focused intention, well, that's going to create a much, much bigger karmic splash. Okay, so if actions have equal and opposite reactions, what about the energy behind them? When you put an intention, a thought, out into the world, where does that energy actually go? Does it just, poof, vanish into thin air? Well, according to another absolute cornerstone of physics, no, it doesn't. The first law of thermodynamics is pretty clear. Energy can't be created or destroyed. Inside a closed system, like our entire universe, it just changes form. It transforms. So if we apply this law, the volitional energy, that's the energy from our intentions, it doesn't just disappear, it's conserved. It gets stored up in a potential state. Some spiritual traditions call this sanchita karma. It's like your total karmic bank account. Then over time, that potential energy transforms into the real active events in our lives. And that's prarabdha karma, the stuff that's happening right now. Okay, so we've looked at the classical view, where the universe is this predictable cause and effect machine. But now we're going to take a quantum leap. We're diving into the truly strange and deeply interconnected nature of reality at the tiniest subatomic level. See, at the quantum level, the universe looks less like a machine with separate parts and a lot more like what physicist Fritjof Capra calls a complicated web of relations. The whole idea of separate, isolated things just completely falls apart. Turns out, everything is fundamentally connected to everything else. And this brings us to one of the most bizarre yet proven parts of quantum mechanics, entanglement. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance, and it's wild. It means you can have two particles that are linked, and if you measure one, you instantly know the state of its partner, even if that partner's on the other side of the galaxy. It's a connection that seems to be faster than light, transcending space and time itself. So, what's the karmic parallel here? Well, the idea is what some call ethical entanglement. It's the notion that the intent behind your actions literally entangles you with the person and the situation you've affected. It creates this invisible, non-local connection, a ripple that continues long after the action is done, making sure that the consequence eventually finds its way back to you, its source. So let's think about this. If karma is a law and these quantum-like connections exist, there's got to be a mechanism, right? How is all this karmic data stored? How is it processed inside of us? How does it actually end up shaping our behavior? Ancient philosophy has a fascinating potential answer: the concept of samskaras. A samskara is basically a psychological imprint. You can think of it like a deep groove or a hardwired neural pathway in your mind. Every single thing we do, think, or feel leaves a subtle imprint, carving these little grooves deeper and deeper into our subconscious. And this cycle here lays out the karmic loop perfectly. An experience happens and it creates an imprint, the samskara. That imprint then creates a vasana, which is a tendency, a habit, a predisposition. And that tendency, well, that's what influences our future actions, which then create brand new samskaras. It's this constant feedback loop that literally shapes who we become over time. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? If we can understand these mechanics, from simple Newtonian reactions to quantum entanglement to these deep psychological imprints, can we use that knowledge? Can we consciously shape our reality for the better? This is exactly where physics starts to become a real philosophy for how to live. The physicist Amit Goswami actually coined this term, quantum activism. It's this powerful idea of using our awareness and our free will to consciously break away from those conditioned karmic habits, those deep samskaric grooves we just talked about, and to choose a new, better path. And the crucial point here is that this isn't just some abstract theory. It's actually a practical guide. It suggests we can actively rewrite our own karmic code by consciously choosing new thoughts, by trying to live out higher values like truth and justice, and by fundamentally remembering that we're all part of that interconnected quantum web. So in the end, this whole framework suggests that we are not just passive observers watching a movie that's already been made. No, we are active participants, co-creating reality with every single choice. And that leaves us with this really profound question. If your consciousness is helping create the universe, what kind of universe are you going to choose to create? It implies that what we do and who we choose to be truly matters on a cosmic scale.